Jewish people, already before the golden calf was created and they served it, they already wanted to. It already entered their minds. The will to serve another God. The Zera Shimshon quotes the Talmud, and two contradictory statements in the same portion of the Talmud, only one page away from another. The first statement the Talmud says is that the robe of the Kohen Gadol atones for an individual who spoke slander, spoke Lashon Hara, that no damage was done. For example, if Reuven were to speak derogatorily about Shimon to Levi, but Levi doesn't act any different to Shimon, even though he heard something very nasty from Reuven about Shimon. He completely acts like him like yesterday. He's his friend, they still conduct business, they do everything, so there was no damage per se done. So the robe of the Kohen Gadol in his service atones for that. But if damage was done, and now Levi acts differently towards Shimon, not so friendly, different than before, at that moment, leprosy is what atones for the individual who spoke Lashon Hara. A page prior to this statement, the Talmud says that leprosy is so severe that there's nothing that can atone for it. And the Zera Shimshon now looks at these two statements within one page and says, well, does leprosy atone for Lashon Hara? Or does it not? He answers in a very out-of-the-box, interesting way. Listen to what he says. He says, in truth, Lashon Hara is so severe that there is no way to atone for it, except for when a communal prayer, a congregational prayer, is done on behalf of the leper, once he has the leprosy. That's the way to atone for Lashon Hara. And he gives an example. He says, when an individual speaks derogatory about another individual, what they have done is they have done something which is irreversible. If I say something nasty about you to someone else, there's no way to take that back. Those words have came out, those words have made a decree. As David HaMelech says in chapter 12, verse 4, he says, Yachret Adonai kol siftei halakot lashon medaberet gedolot. May the Lord cut off all smooth lips, the tongue that speaks great things. That there is nothing that can atone for speaking Lashon Hara except for death. It's so severe when you speak Lashon Hara. Yet the Zera Shimshon is saying that if a person involves the congregation in prayer for his atonement, it could work. When a person says something, they're making a decree. The only forum that can annul a decree, any decree, is the prayer of the congregation. A tzibur, tefilat hatzibur, as we say in Hebrew. A communal prayer. When a person says something so severe like Lashon Hara and they make a decree, they almost can't help themselves. The only way to help themselves is by appealing to the community to pray on their behalf. And the Torah says that's exactly what happens with the leper. When the Kohen examines the leper and sees that he is impure, the Torah says, Tameh, Tameh, Yikareh, that the individual will be deemed and called and publicly known as impure. The reason for that is so people should know and people should pray for the individual. There's one more aspect to this that the Zera Shimshon adds. He says, why such a severe punishment of leprosy for someone who speaks Lashon Hara? We don't see this by other sins. Why specifically Lashon Hara is there leprosy? He answers and says, since the only atonement for speaking Lashon Hara is really death, HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to make it in a way that the person would be punished in a way tantamount to the equivalent of death. When a person speaks Lashon Hara and in effect they have leprosy on their skin, and then they are deemed to be impure, and they are exiled and excommunicated, being exiled and excommunicated is the equivalent of death. So the severe punishment of leprosy is specific to one who does something so severe like Lashon Hara, in order to give them a similar punishment of death, but not death per se itself, rather in God's ultimate mercy, excommunication and exile for the time being until the person is deemed pure again and the blotches of leprosy go away through the repentance of the individual. What we can learn from this concept of the leper, from Lashon Hara, is that words have power. Words can build a person, words can destroy a person. Words can build or destroy a family. Words can build or destroy a community. It could build or destroy even the world. As Jews and as human beings, we have to, as much as possible, pay attention to what we say, how we say it, try to think ahead and not reactive of the repercussions of what we say and what could come out of it. And even though nowadays we don't receive leprosy for speaking Lashon Hara, but other spiritual things happen in our life. Sometimes beracha, blessing, is withheld from us because of the way we speak or because of the things we listen to, the way we deal with others. All of this concept just lingers on the idea of being sensitive to another. And ve'avta l'reacha kamocha, do unto others as you'd like to be done to yourself. You wouldn't want someone to come and say a bad word to you or about you, whether it's in front of you or not in front of you. So don't go do that about someone else. May God bless us in the merit of the Zera Shimshon to help us be aware of guarding our mouths as much as possible and bring a tremendous blessing to ourselves, our families, our community, and to all Am Yisrael. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.